Hey guys, I'm going to be in process of making another big review for later this month in celebration of a certain big movie coming out pretty soon. In the meantime, I figure I'd make a quick video regarding one of the most anticipated movies of this summer. That being Marvel's Black Widow. Now, my expectations have always been rather neutral. As I mentioned in my Marvel shows review, the MCU doesn't have the same level of hype factor that they used to now that Endgame has come and gone. There was never an eagerness to see this movie as much as other Marvel movies, so I wasn't too disappointed that it kept getting delayed. Instead, I just imagined how many would go insane if the pandemic happened right before Endgame came out. However, as someone who does like the Marvel movies, I was at least curious to see how it would turn out, as I do enjoy the character of Natasha Romanoff enough to where I wouldn't mind seeing a movie about her. Sure, some may say that this movie should have come out sooner, especially before Endgame, but better late than never, I guess. And after all the delays and everything, I thought Black Widow was decent. This is by no means the very best of Marvel. It has faults that have appeared in other Marvel movies that makes me wish this was a little bit stronger. That said, this has a lot of strengths that we expect and see from Marvel, and for the most part, it's done quite well. Starting off with the good, I do think this movie does a decent job showcasing the backstory of Natasha herself. They do an alright job getting the insight on what her character is all about, and I think the additions do help add a level of depth to her character. That makes it a bit intriguing. The new additions that are in this film all work pretty well, as they complement Natasha's character, and Scarlett Johansson works off against each actor really well. Especially Florence Pugh's character, who might be the best aspect of this movie. I found her character very enjoyable, with her having some of the best jokes, some cool action moments, and a nice companion to Black Widow herself. Plus, as someone who found Florence Pugh to be really great in a lot of the movies she has been in, it's nice to see that she's getting more recognition thanks to this movie. Also, another strength that the movie has is that it does a really good job at being a spy thriller with a lot of good action and stunt work that is pretty common in movies like these from Marvel, but it's nice to see when executed well. Where the movie falters is that sometimes it has some aspects of other Marvel movies that I thought we were past a bit. There's some odd choices at points, like a weird cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit that I don't think necessarily fit the scene it was in and felt kind of out of place. Plus, the Muppets did that cover better 10 years ago anyway. Some of the humor doesn't really land for me either. It's not quite as annoying as other Marvel movies when it comes to its humor, but there are parts I felt where it could have toned down and maybe be a bit better written when it comes to its comedy. Though easily the most disappointing aspect of Black Widow, in my opinion, is that it has one of the most disposable and weakest Marvel villains I've seen in quite some time. There wasn't really any tension with this character, and there wasn't really anything I can think about with them that added to the story or was that interesting. The character just has some cool fight sequences, and that's about it, as this character was not threatening or really engaging in the slightest. I know many fans are complaining about how this character was butchered compared to how they were in the comics, supposedly. I don't really have much to say, since I don't know much about the comic book counterpart, but even taking it as an adaptation out of it, I felt the backlash wouldn't nearly be as big if they just made the character a little bit more interesting and engaging for the story. It comes off as more of a disappointment for me because I felt in the villain department, Marvel has improved big time in terms of giving us antagonists that are interesting and threatening. So to kind of go back to a low-tier Marvel villain just felt underwhelming. Regardless though, I enjoyed my time with this fair enough, as Black Widow was an entertaining Marvel movie that I'm glad I got to witness. Certainly not a bad movie to start out phase 4 of the MCU, but don't go in expecting it to be one of the best. As far as other MCU projects go, it's not as good as their recent TV shows, nor is it as good as Wonder Woman or Birds of Prey when it comes to female superhero-led movies, in my opinion. But if it means anything, I thought it was better than Wonder Woman 1984 and Captain Marvel in that regard, so take that for what it's worth. I'm gonna give Black Widow a 7 out of 10. Not bad. See if you want to.